One of the biggest things that has helped me is stopping exchanging my time for money. Let's say you go to college and you get a really good job and you start to make $50 an hour, which is maybe $2,000 per week if you're working 40 hours per week like a normal person. That is a ton of money, but there's no real leverage there. The way that I'm doing it is I right now really only have to work a few days a week and a few hours the other days. So let me go over exactly what I did to build kind of a magnet by providing value in exchange for money. So that's what I believe in, exchanging value in exchange for money instead of time, because time is limited to yourself where the output that you provide is infinitely scalable. So let's say you're working 40 hours per week, making $2,000 with a really good job if you're making $50 an hour. I'm working 100 hours a week when I started, at minimum 100 hours a week, making no money and doing this for a year. But what happens is eventually I built this magnet of value to where, you hire a few people, you get a few things in place, and now I'm making a lot more than the $2,000 per week. But instead of working 100 hours per week, it's much more realistic, maybe not 10, but 20 hours per week. So I'm actually in the marketplace providing so much more value than the person that is working for $50 an hour, getting paid much more, but my time has gone down. And the reason for that is I spent all my time working on building systems in place to where I could automate and increase my skill set to where people are willing to pay a lot more money for my services, as opposed to the very capped per hour basis. There's really not much scale. Even if you, let's say, get a 10% raise every single year, if you get that, the max you're going to really be making is, let's say, $3,000 per week, which is a fantastic living. Don't get me wrong, but you're still working the exact same amount. My goal is I'm a lazy bastard. I'm incredibly lazy. I want to build things, and I'm fine spending 100 hours per week to build something that is going to generate cash flow on its own. So the business right now, what I'm doing is taking myself out of, let's say, this magnet that is extracting the value, which is not taking up much of my time because I spent 100 hours per week every week for a few years setting it up. Now what I'm doing is I'm focusing on building other magnets that go to this, to where I'm taking on more and more work, but not exchanging my time for money, exchanging the result for money, which is you can pay a hell of a lot more and you're dealing with a much better clientele. And then what I'm going to focus on is finding people that will work on these magnets for me, that can build more magnets. And then over, those are ugly magnets, but let's say you continue to work, let's say 10 hours on this magnet, then I could do 10 hours on this magnet, 10 hours on this magnet, 10 hours on this magnet. That is all attracting a bunch of more income. Right now, I would say I have 3 magnets. That's what I have. I have 3 real magnets of income. And my workload is not a whole lot because what I'm doing is I'm providing the output and not the time or the per hour basis. I'm not on some sort of flat fee. I'm on a performance-based fee. So eventually, instead of working for these 3, you hire someone to manage these 3 people or these 3 teams. And then you can take on another 3 teams and then another 3 teams. And then you have another manager to take over all of those. It's kind of just growing systems in place. The lazy man's way. I would rather spend 100 hours a week for a few years building something that will generate cash flow forever. So I don't have to work for a per hour basis. When you're just starting out, that's really the only option. But I would quickly find a way to stop exchanging your time for money and start exchanging the value you provide. And if you don't know what value you're providing to a company, just ask them. See, they would not hire you if you weren't making them money. So find out how you are making this company money and see if you can reverse engineer that to have some sort of business model around it. It's really that simple. However you are getting paid from your employer, you are making them money. See how you can make them way more money and then do that for other people. And then usually small businesses, not these giant corporations, but they love working with other entrepreneurs who are taking just some sort of profit share revenue, which is my favorite thing to do. Instead of taking 10 grand a month per person, I get more motivated if I'm making nothing but can make up to 100 grand a month with somebody. For me, that is so much more interesting. And so I think there gets to another level when you start to make a ton of money from your business, or even if you have a super high paying job, then I think you can build these same type of magnets that don't take as much time, but are producing the same type of cash flow, which are just passive vehicle investments. A lot of people do real estate or bonds, dividend paying stocks, things of that nature that are paying you to own it, which I'm not there right now. I'm focused on building these businesses to automate them to produce me as much cash flow as possible without working 200 hours a week, because I know that I will get very burnt out doing that. And every single successful person that I've met that's older says, dude, you're going to burn out when you're in your 30s. It happens to everybody, no matter who you are. Find out. So you got to manage your time effectively and you got to say no to most opportunities. But while I'm young, just build the systems in place to get it done. And it's actually not as hard as it seems. It takes a little bit of risk and a lot of hard work. But now I'm honestly bored. Until I take on more work, I don't have much to do. I'm just finding ways to fill my time learning or doing other things because I've made this very small magnet that just attracts the value that I am providing for other people that I've automated using other people's time. So if I have an overall picture of a job that I'm going to take on, let's say for around $10,000 per month from someone, maybe I'll hire 2 or 3 people outside of the US that I'll be paying a team of, let's say, $3,000 to $4,000 per month total for each of them to do individual tasks of what are needed. I'll be managing it, doing some of the other details, and I'm pocketing the spread along with growing everything that they want from their business to a very high degree. So if I can just replicate that over 50 people, then that's how you make a ridiculous amount of cash flow, and that's the goal. But never, ever, ever want to be exchanging my time for money. But there's no leverage there. You're just limited to how much you can work, which that sucks. That sucks.